All right, so you're here, you want to cut through all the noise and get right to what matters, right?
That's what we're here for.
Okay, so today on this deep dive, we're going to be focusing on the legacy of Neville Goddard.
Oh, yeah, fascinating figure.
Yeah, and a writer whose books were often published by divorce, and they were like a tangible part of his lecture.
Right, yeah, kind of woven into the whole experience.
Exactly. And it's interesting because he also encouraged like recording his talks, free recording.
Open sharing of ideas.
Yeah, and so the question that you've brought to our attention, and this is based on a Cool Wisdom webpage, it's titled, How Many Books Did Neville Goddard Write in His Career?
Okay, straightforward question.
Yeah, how many books did he write?
Right to the point.
Yeah. So our mission today is to give you a clear answer to that.
Yeah, of course.
Along with some of the more interesting details surrounding his publications.
Exactly, because there's always more to the story than just a number.
Always. Yeah, so let's dive in and see what this source has to say.
Let's do it.
All right, so the source jumps right into that central question.
Yeah, they don't waste any time.
No, they don't.
Cool Wisdom says that Neville Goddard wrote 15 books during his career.
15 books.
And as you mentioned, divorce was the primary publisher.
Right.
And what's really interesting is that link between the writing and the live events.
Oh, yeah.
This wasn't just books out in the world. They were part of his teachings.
Yeah, it gives you a sense of like a real connection between him and his message and the books themselves.
Absolutely.
And the fact that he was open to having his lectures recorded.
Yeah.
You know, it suggests a real priority on spreading his ideas, you know?
Not just the traditional publishing route.
Beyond that, yeah. Okay, so 15 books to really get a feel for that contribution.
I think it's helpful.
Let's look at the titles.
Yeah, let's see what we're dealing with here.
As presented in the source.
Okay.
Okay, so the list starts with At Your Command.
At Your Command.
Published in 1939.
Okay.
Following that in 1941, Your Faith is Your Fortune. Then we have Freedom for All, a practical application of the Bible.
Okay.
That was from 1942. And then Feeling is the Secret in 1944.
So we're seeing some themes here already.
Yeah.
This idea of personal power, belief, action.
And the importance of feeling.
Yes, very much so.
Yeah.
It's not just about thought, it's about the feeling.
Okay, so then next up is Prayer, The Art of Believing, released in 1945.
Okay.
And The Search in 1946.
The Search, that's an intriguing title.
Moving a little bit later into the decade, we find Out of This World, Thinking Fourth Dimensionally.
Okay, now that's where things start to get really interesting.
Yeah.
That fourth dimensional idea suggests a whole different way of looking at reality beyond our everyday senses.
So it's like you can see, even in these early titles.
Absolutely.
You can see the threads of his ideas.
Yeah, like a roadmap.
A roadmap, exactly. Okay, so continuing with the list, The Power of Awareness. That was 1952.
Okay.
Awakened Imagination, 1954.
Awakened Imagination.
And Seed Time and Harvest, a mystical view of the scriptures from 1956.
So you can see that evolution of ideas, right?
Yeah.
The power of awareness leading into awakened imagination.
Yeah.
He's going deeper into the nature of consciousness.
Then we have I Know My Father, 1960.
Okay.
The Law and the Promise, 1961.
Interesting.
He Breaks the Shell, 1964.
Powerful imagery there.
And finally, Resurrection, published in 1966.
Resurrection, wow.
So that completes the list of 15 books attributed to Neville Goddard.
15 books over several decades.
Yeah.
That's a serious body of work.
Now, the Cool Wisdom page, it introduces another layer here.
Okay.
By mentioning Margaret Ruth Broom, who's identified as Neville's student.
His student, okay.
And it notes 2 book titles that are associated with her that draw on Neville's teachings.
Okay, so his influence is extending beyond his own books.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So what are these titles?
Okay, so the first one is The Miracle of Imagination by Margaret Ruth Broom.
The Miracle of Imagination.
And the second is The Creative Use of Imagination.
Okay.
Edited by her and published in 1952.
Right.
And interestingly, this latter title was later republished as The Power of Unlimited Imagination.
The Power of Unlimited Imagination. So there's a connection there to his earlier book, The Power of Awareness.
Right.
It's like building upon that foundation.
Yeah.
So these books by Margaret Ruth Broom really highlight how Neville Goddard's work went beyond his own writing.
Right.
His students were taking these ideas and running with them.
Yeah, and the source makes a good point.
Yeah.
That while these books are related to his teachings, our initial count of 15 is focusing on the books that he himself wrote.
Directly authored.
Yeah.
It's a secondary wave of spreading these ideas.
Yeah, that's a good distinction.
It is. Yeah, important to keep in mind.
Okay, so while they're not part of that direct count,
right,
you know, these books by his student, They show the impact
Yeah,
and the resonance of his work.
absolutely.
The webpage also features sections labeled Read for Free.
Read for free.
Mm-hmm. And when you look at the titles listed there,
Okay.
they seem to align with the 15 books we just went through.
So it looks like at some point a lot of his work was available digitally.
Yeah, free of charge.
Interesting.
Which again emphasizes that desire for accessibility
Right, breaking down barriers.
that we talked about earlier.
Exactly, yeah, making these ideas as widely available as possible.
Okay, and it's worth noting the cool wisdom books section on the page,
Cool wisdom books, what's in there?
which includes articles on a variety of subjects.
Okay.
From technology to astrology to science.
Wow, a wide range of topics.
Yeah, so placing Neville Goddard's work within that broader collection suggests that his teachings are seen as part of a wider intellectual landscape.
Right, not just some isolated thing.
Yeah.
It's connected to other areas of thought.
Absolutely, and it offers context, you know?
Yeah.
Now, a quote from Neville Goddard is featured prominently on the page.
Oh, a quote. Let's hear it.
Okay, it says, you change your future best when you are in control of your thoughts while in a state akin to sleep, for then effort is reduced to its minimum.
That's a powerful statement.
Yeah.
And it seems to really capture a core idea of his philosophy.
Right.
This idea that the subconscious mind is so powerful.
Yeah.
And that focused thought in a relaxed state
Yeah.
can really have a huge influence.
And what's fascinating is that immediately following that quote,
Okay.
the page mentions iAwake products,
iAwake products.
suggesting they can be a tool to help achieve that state akin to sleep.
Oh, interesting. So connecting his ideas to a modern method
Yeah.
for altering consciousness.
They even provide a discount code.
Wow, they're really going for it.
Yeah, so it's a direct attempt to connect his principles with contemporary methods for changing your state of mind.
Yeah, it really highlights how relevant his ideas still are.
Yeah.
And how they continue to find new applications.
Right.
This desire to access these altered states of mind where the subconscious is more receptive, it's clearly still a big thing.
It is.
And tools like iAwake are presented as a way to get there.
So to sum up,
Yeah, let's bring it all together.
based on the source you provided, we can definitively say that Neville Goddard wrote 15 books.
15 books.
During his career, they were primarily published by Divorce.
Right.
And those books were often a key part of his lectures.
Yeah, woven into the experience.
We also noted the related publications by his student Margaret Ruth Broom.
Right, which shows his influence spreading even further.
So hopefully this deep dive has given you that clear answer you were looking for,
Yeah, a concise understanding.
along with some context
Exactly, because context is everything.
around his literary work.
And the impact it had.
Yeah.
Now, thinking about the titles of his books,
Yeah.
we saw those recurring themes. Command, faith, healing, prayer, imagination, awareness, law, promise.
Right.
What do you think he was ultimately trying to convey through his writing?
Oh, that's a great question.
Yeah, what fundamental understanding of reality
Yeah.
and human potential was he getting at?
It's a question worth exploring.
It is a question worth exploring.
Yeah.
Maybe we can dive into that another time.
Yeah, maybe we'll do a deep dive on that one day.
All right, so thank you for bringing this source to our attention.
Yeah, thank you.
And for joining us on this deep dive into the books of Neville Goddard.
And if you have other sources or topics you'd like us to explore,
Yeah, don't hesitate.
please send them our way.
We're always looking for new material.
Until next time.
Until our next deep dive.
See